Hello there, I'm a common 28 years old Russian guy. I want to talk to you about an important topic. I sincerely like your country, not the state, your nature, your music and films. I consider you all honest, strong and hardworking people, regardless of which party you vote for. But there is one thing I can't understand. Please help me. Fact number 1. We have the Epstein case, a pimp, pedophile, rapist, sadist, satanist, murderer. His clients and in quotation marks friends include thousands of businessmen, top politicians and high-ranking officials, including Donald Trump, the Clinton family, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, members of European royal families, and so on. Fact number 2. None of Epstein's thousands of clients were executed or even arrested. Some were only questioned by useless parliamentary commissions that have no judicial power. Only his wife was convicted and he was killed as a dangerous witness. Fact number 3. American citizens privately own 400 million firearms. Fact number 4. All Americans consider themselves people with a special destiny and their state the best and most special. Every American jerks off to their constitution and statehood like it's insert name of your favorite OnlyFans actress. 90% American will say that Putin, Russia, the Russian people or any other president, state or its citizens like China, North Korea, Iran, etc. are a bloody dictator, a totalitarian, corrupt regime, fanatics who support the tyrant and bear collective responsibility. Or, if we are against Putin, we are still guilty because we have not yet overthrown him. You Americans consider yourselves freer than anyone else on this planet, but all you can do is trash talk about it online. Your presidents were friends with Epstein and used his services. You swallowed it, wrote 5 angry comments on Facebook and went off to work another 12-hour day like a horse to pay your mortgage and health insurance. And yet, at the same time, you consider the rest of the world slaves to their states and presidents, and that everyone should look up to you and you in quotation marks democracy and liberty. Let me give you a short lecture on Russian history. We've been living like slaves for 1,000 years, and it's obvious to everyone. We've never denied, hidden it, or been ashamed of it. During the Russian Empire, ordinary people were literally the property of the landowners. These landowners weren't businessmen like your 18th century planters. They were hereditary aristocrats, literally medieval feudal lords. We were bought and sold like furniture and gambled away like poker chips. Compared to our landowners, Calvin Candy was Mary Poppins. Today in Russia, no one, absolutely fucking no one, has any illusion that they are special, that they live in a free country, that they are as free as they want to be, that they are better than an American, a Frenchman, or even an Iranian or Afghan. For 1,000 years, the opinion of ordinary people on this territory have had no meaning and have no impact whatsoever. Except for 1 week in March 1917, when the scumbag Emperor Nikolai II was overthrown. It's called the February Revolution, because the Julian calendar was in effect then. And don't confuse it with the October Revolution, when a handful of communists led by Lenin came to power, followed by a civil war that killed 20 million people. Next. One of the main players in the collapse of the USSR was the alcoholic, degenerate and traitor Boris Yeltsin. In 1992 he said, "God bless America in your Congress."
Господи, благослови Америку.
In September 1993, the legally elected parliament refused to obey the traitor Yeltsin's illegal decree to dissolve itself. The Constitutional Court sided with the parliament, concluding that these illegal decrees served as the grounds for the impeachment of the traitor Yeltsin from the presidency, after which the parliament initiated this procedure. A week later, the traitor and in quotation marks Democrat Yeltsin, who was applauded by your Congress and Clinton, fired tanks at the parliament and amended the constitution to favor his own absolute power. We call it October Cup. Once again, don't confuse it with the October Revolution of 1917. In 1994, the actions of the traitor Yeltsin led to the Chechen War. Back in 1990, as the Speaker of the Parliament of the RSFSR and de jure head of the Republic, one of the 15 republics that made up the USSR, he said, "Take as much sovereignty as you can swallow." He wanted the other Union republics, the Belarusian SSR, the Ukrainian SSR, and so on, to follow his desire to secede from the USSR and thereby dismantle it. The RSFSR in turn was also a federation with its own internal republics, parliaments and laws, much like today's United States. One of its republics, Chechnya, wanted to become independent not only from the USSR but also from the RSFSR, which Yeltsin opposed and launched a brutal war. In 1996, the traitor Yeltsin falsified the presidential elections. Since then, in quotation marks democratic Russia, in quotation marks free from totalitarian communism, the opinion of the people has had no influence of anything to this day. In 1999, the traitor Yeltsin appointed as his successor the traitor Putin, who during his reign completely destroyed the system of checks and balances, falsified every presidential election, every parliamentary election, and every vote on changing the constitution, allowing him to rule indefinitely. You can't understand how much Putin hates us all. He doesn't even consider us human. For 40 years now, all Russian citizens have believed and openly state that those who destroyed the USSR were traitors to the people and national interest, that those who came to power in the 1990s were traitors to the people and national interests, that 95% of today's officials and oligarchs, including Putin, are corrupt traitors to the people and national interests. We are millennial, helpless and unarmed slaves, criminally prosecuted for rallies and solitary pickets. If you look up at the statistics, you will find the figure of 17 million private-owned guns. These are civilian weapons, which include bladed weapons, pneumatic weapons, gas pistols, and traumatic weapons. There are approximately only 6 million firearms in people's hands, and this number is decreasing every year due to stricter legislation. 90% of all our firearms are hunting rifles, double-barreled shotguns and other guns like Remington 760. There are less than a million rifled weapons in hand and about 4.5 million smooth-bored weapons. Pistols are prohibited. When you can buy a Glock at a pawn shop like a frying pan, a Remington 700 on Gunbroker is cheaper than an iPhone. You own more guns than fucking smartphones, hundreds of millions of assault, automatic sniper rifles and even machine guns. And when your president is friends with Epstein, kills 117 Iranian girls, you only condemn it on Reddit and consider yourself the masters of this world, while calling us slaves or fascists. So, this is my conclusion. I think you are even more slaves than we are, because your unremovable political system, which imitates the freedom of choice between a Republican douche and a Democratic turd, swapping one Epstein client for another, has conditioned you to be helpless and driving you like a squirrel into a wheel in just 150 years since the Civil War, instilling in you the idea of being superior. Or, my hypothesis, maybe you all, armed to the teeth, are Epstein accomplices? For generations you voluntarily and legally voted for presidents and politicians who were Epstein's clients, justifying it with your constitution, the great political system granted by Washington and, in quotation marks, liberty. Do you really think Epstein carried out his activities for decades of years without the oversight of the CIA? Your president, in quotation marks, a defender of liberty, democracy and peace, calls the, in quotation marks, bloody dictator Putin his friend, greets him with an honor guard from your army, shakes his hand and smiles in his face. George Bush Jr. is his first and best friend. This is a wonderful shot. Google Putin and Bush dancing. Biden and Obama only called him a dictator in words, but in reality they conducted the same negotiations with him, completely controlling his actions and not preventing with him in any way. Prove me wrong, please. Convince me with arguments. Write your opinion in the comments and I will answer each of you. Let's find the truth together. Or better yet, you know what? Prove I'm wrong not with words to me, but with bullets to the whole world. Execute pedophile Trump publicly like Gaddafi after 1,000 hard pipe-hitting ends with 10 each cocks raped all his holes on Twitch live at the Washington Monument. Kill every employee of the CIA, FBI, NSA, etc., all secretaries and other top officials, all hereditary politicians, senators and other scumbags, for the sake of universal and lasting peace on the entire planet. If you don't do this, they will start a nuclear war against Russia because it's necessary for national security. And you will be first to die in a nuclear fire, not Epstein's friends and clients, who are mistakenly called presidents, politicians, ministers, officials, employees and businessmen. And those of you who survive this will not play Fallout in real life, but will be forcibly mobilized, as in Ukraine now, and thrown into war with China. This will be the most brutal and final war in your history. Do you know why? Because China is uncontrolled, like Russia and Ukraine, by your intelligence services and deep state in your terms. You have never fought such an enemy, even with an enemy who is same strong as you. And China will mercilessly demolish you. Consider my words.